أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب زدني علما رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير ثم أما بعد. To you all, beloved brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, today we'll continue with our Islamic studies, marriage rules series. Last week we were supposed to do a lesson, but there was another program that overran, and so we couldn't have this lesson, but inshallah we shall now continue, inshallah. And we plan to continue on a weekly basis with our Islamic studies class. And after we've finished this last few lessons in the discussion of marriage, inshallah we will embark upon a very, very beautiful and interesting journey into the principles and usul of fiqh. For example, you hear the word fard, wajib, sunnah, makruh, haram. We say, for example, the five that we say, for example, that in wudu 4 things are fard, in salah X amount of 7 things or 6 things are fard. How do you conclude? How did the ulama, the usuliyun, conclude that this is fard and this is wajib? What's the evidence behind it? How do you get to the end result? How do the scholars of Islamic law analyze the massive encyclopedia of Islamic evidences of Quran and Hadith and Ijma' and Qiyas, and come to the end result of the hukum and the rulings that they give verdict upon? It's a very, in fact, the laws that we're studying, that's the front. And the usul is that which is behind. So we are going to take a step behind and to see how we came to the fiqh itself. It's called usul fiqh. Of course, it'll be a brief one and it'll be a beginner's level, but inshallah it'll be interesting nonetheless. In our last lesson, we spoke about the reversible, the revocable talaq, the divorce which can be undone. The talaq which can be undone, and we explained what it is and how it works. Today we are going to go to the next section, which is the divorce which cannot be undone, the talaq which is irreversible, the talaq which in Arabic is called ba'in. Ba'in means it's become separated, you can't reconnect. How does it work and when does it work? Right? So we've understood that there is, if the situation makes it necessary for someone to separate from their spouse with talaq, if the husband must give divorce, then he does so according to the Sunni way, the Sunnah way. Sunni means according to the Sunnah way. And last time I asked some brothers, what's the opposite of Sunni? He said Shi'i. And I said, no, Sunni in the Nikah and Talaq discussion, opposite of Sunni is Bid'i. Okay, which means to give talaq in the Sunnah way is that the talaq should be given in the time of the month in which the woman is not in her monthly cycle, nor is she in her postnatal bleeding. Furthermore, for the talaq to be Sunni, it should be 1 talaq per time, 1 talaq a month, per month, not 3 talaqs in one go. Some guys say, I'll give you 1,000,000 talaqs. And that's not even realistic, because you can only give up to 3 talaqs in the first place. So to give the talaq in the time which the woman is not in her period or her menses. Number 2, that it should be 1 at a time. Number 3, the talaq should be issued in the month in which there has been no marital relation, no intercourse. 4th point, for it to be according to the Sunnah, it should not be 3 at one go, it should be 1 at a time. 1 at a time, like we've said that before. 4 should be that it should be scattered. It should be scattered, not all in one go. It should be 1, 2, separate if you want to give more than 1. Now, here's a big misconception. And to be honest, I'll be absolutely honest with you. Even I was confused about this for a long time. Everyone thinks that to separate from a wife, you have to give 3 talaqs. This is not true. To separate from a person's wife, they don't have to give 3 talaq. You may well give 1 talaq and be separated and go your own way. And this is the correct way to give talaq. Does that make sense? It's not necessary that every time there's a divorce that you should be with 3 talaqs, because that's an overkill, as the young people say. It's an overkill. There's no need to give extra talaqs, because if 1 talaq does the job, then khalas, let it do the job. You giving 1, 2 and 3 talaqs, the impact will be the same. In fact, you may regret it afterwards. Because the difference between giving 1 talaq and 3 is that even if you give, say for example, a man gives 1 talaq to his wife, okay, and then he does not return her, does not reverse the talaq within the iddah period. Within the iddah period. So now that the iddah period, whether it be 3 months or 3 menstrual cycles or 3 purities, whatever, 3 months have gone by, now the wife is separated from him. She's become ba'in. Because it started off as raj'i, revocable, but because the iddah is finished, it's become now what? It's become ba'in. You need to try to remember these words, okay? If it's 1 talaq initially, it's considered to be raj'i, reversible. But if the iddah waiting period is finished, then what happens? It becomes ba'in. Once it becomes ba'in, the woman may well go her way. She may move out of the house. She may go and do whatever she wants to do. You may go and do what you want to do. The divorce is done. But now suppose a year later, 2 years later, 6 months later, you start regretting your decision. Say, I'm never going to find a woman like her again in my life. I tried looking, but no. First love is the one. Yeah, you start thinking like this. So you're wishing that you could have your wife back. Someone may be wishing like that, and it happens all the time. Don't think I'm exaggerating. So because he only gave 1 talaq and separated, guess what? There is a solution. The solution is that they can do the nikah again from the beginning with the 2 witnesses, with the consent of the wali, as if from fresh start, have the nikah again, and they can carry on with marital life. However, the 1 talaq still is in the bank account. That means he's only allowed to give 1 more talaq, and the 3rd talaq is finished. Does that make sense to you? So if you give 1 talaq and separate, the iddah finishes, you may well go your own way. So what I'm trying to clarify to you is a very big misconception. Too many people of Bangladesh, of Pakistan, of India, of Arabia, of everywhere, they think in order for me to separate from my wife, I need to give her 3 talaqs. Is this true? No. What you can do is give 1 talaq, which is ba'in. 1 talaq, and then wait for the iddah period. She becomes separate, she goes her way, you go your way. But what's the benefit? The benefit is, number 1, you've done it according to the sunnah way, because it's the sunni way. Number 2 is that if you do regret your decision in 2, 3, 6 months, 2, 3 years or 6 months, then you can do the nikah again from the beginning. However, bear in mind, this nikah is only to resume the pre-existing marriage, and so your talaqs are not refreshed. Does that make sense? When you have a new nikah, you have 3 talaqs in your account, isn't it? But because you're refreshing an old nikah, an old marriage with the new nikah, you're reconnecting, you are just remaining with 2 talaqs. In our last lesson, we understood the reversible, revocable talaq. Today we want to talk about the irreversible talaq. This talaq can be in the following situations. Number 1, the man gave the divorce with such extreme terms, such abhorrent and such serious terminology, that the talaq is considered to be ba'in, severed, damaged. That's the less common way. But the more common way is that the man gives talaq to his wife, 1 talaq, and then how does the talaq become irreversible? Can someone tell me, how does the talaq become irreversible? I've said it before, yes. Iddah finishes. So the talaq is reversible as long as the wife is still within her 3-month waiting period. Are you understanding, Brother Antonio? If you're telling Antonello, then everyone should be understanding. If you don't understand, then tell me, so I'll reverse, inshallah. Because our brother is Riva, of course, so he needs to take it slow. And if you understand it, then no one else has an excuse, including Yasin. Yasin, are you considering talaq anytime soon? I said talaq anytime soon. Allah barik. His father's going to mind. Don't worry. So it's fine. It's all good. Khalas, Allah barik. Good stuff. So look, the reversible talaq is the one that's given in the sunnah way and is reversed within the iddah period. Understood? We've covered that. Go back to the previous lesson if you want to. The irreversible talaq, or the talaq which needs a new nikah, the separated talaq, is when the iddah period is now finished. The 3 months is gone. Yahya, tell me, if this man wants to carry on life with his wife, previous wife, ex-wife, that he severed with one talaq and now iddah is finished, it's become ba'in, what must he do? He must go and propose to her again like the first time. He must go on with the flowers and the mitai and the ambala, all of those costs all over again, all the headache again. And he has to, yes, he has to go to the family and say, listen, you know your daughter, subhanallah. And then he has to give all the nice speech. And I say, what are you doing here? Get out of here, man. You caused all this harassment, you caused all this problem, you caused all this heartache. Get out of here, no one wants you. He says, oh, no. I have to make everything good, everything sweet. And then he says, I would like to ask for her hand once again in marriage. See, a lot of people don't know this. This never happens. Why does this never happen? Because our people are jahil. They usually give 3 talaqs, bang, in one shot. They just nuke their nikah. They finish it. But had they done one by one Sunni way, then this may have been a scenario that you see more often, where a man is getting married to his wife a second time. So you know these people, they fantasize. You know, I don't know, some people in I think some religions, fake religions, yeah, they do their marriage again every 10 years or something. Oh yeah, but renewing your vow, whatever you call it, yeah. Yeah, do they do that? Yeah, do Muslims do that as well? Oh come on, man. That's good. That's how it should be. So renewing your vows, doing your nikah again, doing the marriage again, civil marriage, whatnot, every 10 years. In Islam, there's no such thing. What there is, if the talaq becomes ba'in, now you have to go and marry your wife again, then you're going to have to do the whole, you know, sweet talking and etc. Convince her wali, convince her, give her a fresh new mahar. She might be like, listen, last time you gave me, I allowed you. I was having mercy upon you. I allowed you 1,000 pound mahar. This time it's going to be 20. So you're going to have to agree to that because you messed up. Who told you? You should have chilled out, just waited a bit. So now she asked for a bigger mahar, and now this is what happened because one talaq became ba'in, you're separated now, and now you want to carry on with marital life. All you had to do to avoid all of this is first of all not give talaq ideally, and secondly, you should have reversed the talaq within the iddah period. If within that 3 months he wasn't being stubborn, he wasn't being stiff, he wasn't being like really like arrogant, he said, you know what, khalas, maybe I made a mistake, I'm going to go back. Then you done raj'ah of her, then it would have been fine. So the first scenario in which the talaq may become irreversible is if it's severe words. Like, I divorce you, I never ever want to see you ever again in my entire generation's life. May your face become a'udhu billah. All of that stuff you say. Don't say it. If you must separate, khalas, like as the Quran says, that either be companions for them in ma'ruf, أو سرحوهن بمعروف, or let them go happily. Why does divorce have to be so toxic? Wallahi, divorce is one of the most toxic things. I've heard stories, and I've said it before, so I'm not going to go again on that rant. They become so toxic. People will become crazy animals, people like the behavior. Accuse their spouse of all sorts. Anything and everything goes because they want to harm the opposition. So the first instance in which the talaq may become ba'in, irreversible, is by wording. Second, and the more common, is that a person will give talaq one, and the iddah period will finish, so now it should become ba'in 2. Does that make sense? That's second scenario. Got it? Third scenario, in which the talaq may become ba'in separate, not reversible, is, guess what? Not when you give the talaq, but when she demands the talaq through the Sharia court. And that may be a few different scenarios. She may demand a talaq from you, or she may demand a separation based on khula, which is, we say in Bangladesh we say kula. They make it sound like it's open, but it is more or less that khula, khala'a, to take it off. That's what it means literally. You do khala and reverse the nikah that was done. So if your wife now takes you to court and gets a divorce from the court in Islamic country or Sharia council in this country, then is this talaq or is this separation going to be reversible or irreversible? You tell me. Yeah, if she does it. But what's the point? She went through all that headache, heartache, she paid all those fees, got the talaq done, and then now you're going to say, I reversed you. Is that fair? No, it's not going to be reversible. So that means if you want her back, I'm not taking the mic, I'm just like, we're just having a discussion, yeah? We're learning together. So don't get nervous or anything, it's fine. If woman takes you to court, she pays court fees, she has to go through the whole trial and waiting period, and then she finally managed to get the khula, or the fasakh, we'll come to in a minute. Fasakh is a separation where basically she's saying, listen, it's not that I don't want the guy, it's just that there's actually something wrong with him. There's actually something wrong with this guy. Either there's something wrong with him physically, or mentally, or in his action, or he's just not he's not fulfilling his rights. Financial rights, presence rights, monetary rights, and etc. So here, that's another type of separation. So in both cases, the woman is the one that's seeking it. I don't know, someone shared me a story of apparently some princess or something from this crazy country publicly divorced her husband. My husband, I divorced you 1, 2, 3 from your ex-wife. This lady is crazy. She can't even do that. That's not how it works. This kind of divorce is not how Islam works, so she doesn't know. It's supposed to be a Muslim country. Anyway, does that make sense? So this is the third situation in which the talaq may be not reversible. Not reversible meaning, if you want to reverse it, then you have to go through the nikah process. Okay? First instance in which the talaq may not be reversible is by extreme wording. 2, the iddah finishes from the one talaq. 3, the woman is the one that's getting the talaq. Does that make sense? In all of these scenarios, if you must go and continue with marital life, then what must you do? Go and do a fresh nikah. We're doing it very slowly so you understand. Take it easy, wahda, slowly, yeah? Okay, now let's read. We're just going to say more or less, inshallah, what we just said. Now, suppose now the talaq is ba'in. As in, when I say ba'in, it means not reversible, yeah? Are you still married? You're not married. Would the husband inherit from the wife? Would the wife inherit from the husband? No. Because the talaq is separated. But remember in the first one, we said in the reversible talaq, there's still the possibility of them being reconnecting is quite strong. And the marriage is still there as a base. So if one of them was to die, they would inherit from the other. Does that make sense? So that's one of the effects of the ba'in talaq. Now what I've described to you all this time is called the ba'in talaq, the irreversible talaq, the small one. It's called sughra. And the reason why it's called the small one is because there is a next level up. It's called the irreversible talaq kubra, which means there's no reversing ever. Okay? The irreversible talaq, small one, there's a chance of reversing, but what? Through a new marriage, isn't it? But irreversible talaq, the big one, there's no coming back. When does that happen? This happens when the man has exhausted all of his 3 talaqs. When you give 3 talaqs, so if you gave 1, it could be reversible. If the iddah finishes, it's irreversible. He gave another, it could be reversible. If you returned her into iddah, the iddah finished, so it became irreversible. Guess what he done? This guy's a complete lost case. Second time he divorced her. Second time iddah finished, he's like, oh my days, I made the wrong decision again, I want my wife back again. So he does the whole sweet talk and the mitai and the jilabi and everything for us. He's having his nikah for the 3rd time now. He does the nikah a 3rd time because the first one was the first original nikah. Then he divorced the one. He got nikah again. That was the first talaq. Then he divorced her again 2nd time. And now he's getting married again to her. Don't do that. Don't get yourself. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Now, after getting married to her a third time, after the second talaq, now he decides, no, no, no. I need to give the third talaq. He's so angry, he's so furious, I have to give the third talaq. So when the man gives the third talaq, then khalas ya habibi, finish. It's not going to be habibi come to Dubai, it's going to be habibi, finish, don't come at all. It's done. Yeah. Third talaq means you can't be with that woman again, even if you give her mahar and get 15 witnesses and go to her wali and her parents and her grandparents and her whole generation. It's not going to happen. Because once you give the third talaq, Allah says, فَإِن طَلَّقَهَا, if he gives the third talaq, فَلَا تَحِلُّ لَهُ, she will never become halal for him, حَتَّى تَنْكِحَ زَوْجًا غَيْرًا. Only one scenario is that she goes and marries another man, and that man dies. He doesn't kill him. He just dies. He can't kill him, a'udhu billah, because if he did kill him, then she still would not be halal for him. Okay? That man, the husband, the new husband dies naturally or divorces her naturally. Not paid divorce. And remember we spoke about this one, yeah? This halala, the nikah of the hilla marriage. And I told you, isn't it? A lot of the time they hire a guy to say, listen, well, you're going to do me a favor, you're going to marry my wife. This guy's put himself in a very bad situation. He has to pay a guy to marry his wife on the condition that he divorces her so that he can get married to her again. But this guy, second guy, comes and marries his wife and goes, you know what, I'll take the money, I'll take the wife too. I'm not divorcing her. This happens a lot. So this is not a situation you want to be in. Ideally, ya habaib, please avoid such situations. Don't give talaq, and if you must, then give it in the Sunni way, not the Shi'i way. As in, not the bid'i way. Give in the Sunni way, which is one by one per month, in the month in which in her pure time, not in her menstrual cycle, in the month in which there is not been no marital relation, and make them separate. Does that make sense to you, brothers? Yeah. So ideally, you don't want to be of those. Do you understand now? The reversible talaq and the irreversible talaq. The irreversible talaq, there's a small one and there's a big one. It's called ba'in sughra, small one, where you can do a new nikah and carry on. That's a good way to remember it, okay? The reversible talaq is the one that you can reverse without any new nikah. The irreversible talaq, in which you have to do a new nikah, is called the ba'in small one, sughra. And the irreversible talaq, in which you can't return, is called the ba'in kubra, meaning 3 talaqs. Does that make sense? If I ask you, can you explain it to me? Who can explain it to me? What's raj'i, what's ba'in sughra, what's ba'in kubra? Yasin, you tell me. Because you said you're planning to do talaq soon. Go ahead. Yeah. Sughra. 3 talaqs. He can't marry her again until she has to marry again another separate. Can someone else explain it from this side? This guy looks experienced. Can you explain it to me? No. Raj'i is there's no need for nikah. Within the iddah period, yeah. They just carry on with a married life.
Sughra is when the husband goes back after the iddah, but he has to do nikah.
New nikah, yes, new nikah.
Kubra is when he gives 3 talaqs, the wife has to go on his own.
Okay. Tell me, in which one of these situations does the wife still inherit from him? Raj'i, isn't it? And he inherits from her. Okay. Now, when the talaq is raj'i, both if it's 1 talaq or 2 talaq, when there is a chance of it coming back, the rule is, this is very important. Before I explain to you this very big misconception about how people think you have to give 3 talaqs in one go. I hope that's now clear. You can give 1 talaq and separate and carry on, and then So that's clear now. Now this is most important. I want you to remember this and convey it to others, because most people don't know this. Even if there is talaq, as long as it's not the 3rd talaq, the husband and the wife have to stay in the same house. Yes. Because society nowadays, the moment husband and wife have an argument, what do? They run in opposite directions. This is not from Islam. This is not from the Sunnah. Even if there is, forget argument, argument is normal. Habibi, argument is completely normal. Everyone has arguments. Even the Prophet had an argument in his marriage. Yeah, he did. Argument is normal. Our kids nowadays, young people, young brothers and sisters, they have an argument and she's gone to her mom's house and he's gone to his mom's house and they're all crying. Or I don't know if the brother's crying. If he is, then we need to talk to him. Or the sisters may be crying and then the parents become very emotional and say, no, 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 my daughter, my dear, my heart of my heart, my blood of my blood, my flesh of my flesh, you're never going back to this house again. Not realizing that Islam says, forget argument, even if there was divorce, they still have to stay in the same house until the iddah finishes. Why is that? Can someone tell me? Yes, so the love may be reignited. And there's an ayah in the Quran that talks about this. In Surah Talaq, Allah says, لَعَلَّ اللَّهَ يُحْدِثُ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ أَمْرًا. Maybe something will happen thereafter. So, and we spoke last time about how many layers of protection Allah gave in His religion of protecting the marriage. So even if divorce happens once and twice, third time it's finished. There's no chance after that, right? Once and twice there is a chance that marriage may continue. So therefore it is from the Sunnah, it is from the religion, it is from Al-Islam that the husband and the wife must stay in the same house, and the husband, even though he's angry and given talaq, must still take care of his wife just like he would do in all other times. He can't say, listen, I'm so angry with you, I'm not going to get the shopping anymore. No, it's not going to happen, mate. You still have to go shopping, and she can still give you a long message of saying the shopping list, and you still have to get it. Does that mean marital life in terms of your personal relationship is separated, but her haqq upon you is still there, that she has to stay with you, you have to give her shelter, you have to give her clothing, you have to give her food. It is all upon. Because the marriage is still subliminally connected until it becomes ba'in. So during the iddah period, now remember this and convey this. And now I'm going to say something some people are going to hate me for it, but you only live once. Actually in this life, of course afterlife we live. Right? Which is that there's a way of loving your sons and there's a way of loving your daughters. And I say this to the parents because there's a lot of problems that happen because of excessive involvement from the parents. Does that make sense? Intruding into the private life, marital life with the kids, it's not too much, is not good. The previous generations had it figured out somewhat. It wasn't perfect. There was a lot of cases where there was abuse and it should have gone checked. It was unchecked. But they had some sort of agenda, some sort of a strategy in play. Nowadays, one argument happens and they go to their family and friends and they have a nice sob and that's it. Everyone gets involved. No, that guy, are you mad? You're going to go see that guy? You're mad. Oh, that girl, oh my, no, bro, no, no. Everyone's going to get involved. None of that. None of that. That is not allowed. And those who are trying to cause this kind of separation, cause this kind of pain and agony, cause this kind of extra trauma, guess what? You're going against the Quran. Allah says, وَبُعُولَتُهُنَّ أَحَقُّ بِرَدِّهِنَّ. Parents are thinking, I have a most right to take my daughter back. And guess what? Allah said otherwise. Allah said the one that has the most right to take her back is her own husband. And the husband has the most right to take his wife back, and the wife has the most right to be with her husband. So you, my friend, as parent, mom or dad, or friend or sister or sibling, or babi or dulaba, whoever you may be, for you to get excess involved and trying to pull them apart is, wallah, you're doing a big sin. You're doing a big sin. Don't do it. What you should be doing is supporting them, giving them understanding, give them reassurance to try and solve it and figure it out. Every time I hear about how the families are getting involved and trying to pull them apart, sometimes it's out of goodwill. They think, oh, this guy doesn't want to treat my daughter right. But yeah, there has to be significant grounds for you to think that. Okay, what's your grounds? Because the guy came home late a few times, maybe because he was in doing something, unless it was something haram, like something wrong, then of course that's, but if you were, say for example, out with his friends, maybe playing PlayStation, or playing FIFA, or like, yes, it's wrong, but it's not grounds for divorce. Similarly, you know, my guy is so like maybe overprotective or whatever, Too much. She wants to go and visit her mom and dad. She wants to go and, spend a few nights with her parents every now and then. You're like, no, 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 no. No, 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 it's not allowed. It's not going to happen. Ya akhi, chill out, man. Chill out. It's okay. We're all family. We all have family. We all have loved ones, okay? So I'm going to come to another more controversial point. And again, I might get cancelled, but you only live once, as they say. So that the first point I'm trying to clarify, don't get too involved. Don't try to pull them apart. If you truly love them, then you'll want them to figure it out, isn't it? You'll want them to figure it out. And people in haram relationships, they're more supportive of the haram relationship than the halal nikah. If it's a haram relationship, they're like, oh no, but maybe this, and they make excuses. Yeah? But if it's a halal nikah, this person's your spouse, your companion in life in dunya and akhirah, you look for every excuse to pull them apart. This is a major sin. Know that. So parents, give tarbiyah, give love, give affection in a way that's in line with the Sharia guidance, not against it. Okay? Don't be so soft that you're pulling them apart as a result of it. Sometimes you need to show a bit of tough love. Say, no, it's okay, figure it out. Right? Figure it out, it's fine. You guys might have arguments, but it's fine, figure it out. This is a point that I'm following on from the point of what? Even if there was talaq, then they still have to spend the time together in the same house. Unless, of course, there's significant abuse. Whether it be physical, whether it be verbal. When there is abuse and the concern of safety, then of course, they need to go to safety. We're not talking about those circumstances. We're talking about in normal circumstances. If there's a concern of safety, then khalas. Then you have a right to bring them to safety. Does that make sense, yeah? Are there any questions on this topic? Okay. Now, I said I'm going to say another topic, yeah? For too long, ya habaib, the in-laws have been involved and causing problems. Yeah, I get it. In-laws, I value in-laws. I have in-laws. I have in-laws. I was going to say something, but maybe my wife's watching, so I can't.
You only live once.
Some people have I have in-laws, some people have outlaws, So yeah, we all have in-laws, yeah? Right? Which is fine. A lot of the time now what happens is, this is more common in our culture from the man's side. They're so possessive over the daughter-in-law. It's slowly coming down. And I think that's because there's a revenge, there's like a proper backlash. There's like the girls are gone, they're on a rampage now to try and break loose from all of these unnecessary ties and limitations. Which is that in many households, I heard stuff like, and I see stuff like, they will limit how many times the poor girl is allowed to go and see her parents. What's the need for that, ya ammi? What is this? Just like you would want your daughter to come and see you, let the lady go and see her parents, man. Just like you would love your daughter, love the other person's daughter as well, and your daughter-in-law. This is very important. There's a lot of, like the way we treat, in our Asian culture, I can speak for, the son-in-law is like, wow, Taman beta. My God, he's going to be put onto a throne. The beau now, the daughter-in-law, she's very loved and cared and colored up in the beginning, but then afterwards, it's not nice. Yeah, for example, there's even levels of, like on Eid day, many daughters-in-laws can't see their parents. Why? Because the in-laws say, no, we have a lot of mehman coming up, so you have to spend the whole day serving these people in the house. This is like, think about it as human, like don't get emotional, don't get angry at me, I'm not trying to cause problems. Like, I think my track record proves that I speak for both men and women. I try to give advice on both sides. I'm not trying to be like those who just give advice on one side, yeah? Hope I'm not. So this lady, she has parents, she wants to go and see them. Relax. Relax. What's the problem? Figure it out. Morning there, evening there, afternoon. Figure it out. Don't be so like that. Don't be so drippy like that. It's going to cause problems in the future anyway. There's another big misconception. The wife, the girl can't see her friends. Now, of course, if the friends are bad, they're chilling out there late 1, 2, or after, like, when it's not supposed to be. Well, billah, doing crazy driving, then this is, I'm not talking about, I'm not defending you guys, no way. You guys, you deal with your own problems, go away. I'm talking about the sister who genuinely has some friends from madrasa, from uni, from childhood days, and she wants to see her friends. Let her invite them over. Let her go to them. What's the problem? Wallahi, I know some people, they will get angry if the beau has friends and they're coming to the house. They'll be like, oh, Badikita, she's got friends coming over. What is this? Where did you get this from? I'm genuinely shocked. Where did this come from? Because wallahi, it's not from the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ used to honor the friends of Khadija radiallahu anha warda, such that after she passed away, he would continue to send them gifts even after her death. So where did we get this from? Like, limitation when it comes to visiting parents, limitation when it comes to visiting friends. Yes, when it goes overboard, exaggeration, too much, where the rights of the husband is being overridden, like you're out and about, that's not, again, everything is in a balance. You have to manage the scales. Don't be out of order. No one should be out of order. Be fair, be reasonable, and things will be okay. Does that make sense? With that said, inshallah, I think I've said enough for today. Now tell me, do you have any questions? Next time we'll talk about the talaq that happens from the wife's side. And then inshallah we'll wrap it up. Yes?
I had two questions. So, first one, obviously you mentioned the three talaqs. I'm assuming that's per woman, right? So, for example, if you divorce your wife and then you get married to a different woman, with that woman...
Yeah, you have a new set of talaqs.
Yeah.
It's per nikah, yes.
Yeah.
So you have three talaqs per marriage. Yeah? I don't know what you're planning, bro, but good luck with that.
Also, I know you said you're going to talk about Talaq more
Yeah.
next week, but you mentioned how if a sister wanted to go through Talaq, she would approach the court.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly do you mean by that? Like, who exactly would she approach?
Oh, she'll have to go to a mediator, like a mufti, or an imam, a hakam, someone. Basically, when the man wants to give divorce, or he has to give divorce, then it's a process whereby he himself can initiate that. But when the woman wants to separate, there has to be, Islam adds one more layer, one more stage, because the woman may be emotional, or maybe she doesn't really want divorce. She just wants to maybe punch him or something instead. So there's a person, she shouldn't do that. But there has to be a person involved who mediates the situation, tries to figure out if there's a solution or if they must separate. So that person may be a mufti, maybe an imam, maybe a sharia council, maybe an Islamic court in a Muslim country. All of these fulfill that. It might be the khalifa, if there's a khalifa, might be a person of authority in the community, basically. Okay? Any other questions? Yes, please.
Following his question, for example, a man gives one talaq to his wife, then the iddah passes by, he gets married to her again, does all the lovely stuff. Does that mean...
He's listening properly.
Does that mean his 3 sets of talaq start again?
No.
Okay,
So let me repeat, let me ask, the question he asked is, if a man gives talaq to his wife, the iddah period finishes, he gets married to her again, does his talaqs refresh? The answer is no. You only have 3 talaqs in your account for the whole marriage, even if you divorce in the middle. The only time it refreshes is if she gets married again and then you marry again after that. Yes, Hadisa. Yeah.
So, what do you think? Is going to be a still crown?
Of course, 100%. Witness is not needed for talaq.
In Bangladesh, it's depends just there's no witness maybe.
No, this is Bangladesh. Allah make it easy for Bangladesh.
Three times, same, in same.
Talaq, yeah.
So,
Is it 1 or 2? Okay, so I'll answer the question. So the hadith have asked 2 very good questions. Do you have to have witness for the divorce, just like you need to have witness for the nikah? Answer is no. Talaq, even if you write it to your wife as a message, you're divorced, then it's active. Even if you say, whether there is witness or not, whether there's proof or not, you know that you gave your wife divorce. Allah knows it, the angels know it. So now if you want to pretend like you didn't and carry on living in a haram relationship, then that's your decision. Number 1. Number 2, if you give 3 talaqs in one go, does it count as 3 talaqs or does it count as 1 talaq? That's a very common question nowadays. And the truth is, according to the 4 schools of law, the 3 talaqs would normally count as 3 talaqs. But there is the opinion of Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah, rahmatullahi alayhi, who is one of the polymaths, great scholars of the past from the Hanbali school of law. He was an independent thinker and a mufti and a shaykh and a allama in his own right. Right? He, with evidence from athar, from the sunnah, from history, from aqwal of sahaba, has opined that, has held the opinion that 3 talaqs, if they are given in one go, are considered to be 1 talaq. Now, for a long time, a lot of muftis, even like in Bangladesh, in Hanafi schools, they were not taking that fatwa. But recently, they are taking that fatwa. Because, why are they doing that? You're laughing because you don't know what you're talking, you don't know how hard it is out there. But to save a marriage is ultimate, of utmost importance. And here you have a reliable scholar like, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah is like, khalas, he's giant in it. It's his evidence. His hujjah, he's like his marja. Not hujjah, his marja. His reference point. So therefore, and plus he gives evidence from sunnah. So, and there's others that follow him in that, right? So many fatwa schools, even Egyptian family court, takes this opinion and rules as such. So, in summary, I'm not going to give a general ruling because I can't. Okay, it's above my pay grade, as they would say. But what I would say is this is a possibility, and the mufti who is being consulted needs to make decision. Does it, because you have to analyze everything, how the word was, how much gap between each, what was intention, what was the wording, and based upon that, he will decide, the mufti will decide, the Sharia council will decide, the Sharia court will decide, the hakam will decide how many talaqs is issued, 1 or 3.
Yeah, no, in Bangladesh, I saw that one of the Mulavi, he was reading the books, different verses say like, the Isa Ruhullah says this one, the Musa says the other one, different examples they given. They said, if you say 3 talaq, some say, okay, 3 talaq is finished. Some say, no, 2 talaq is finished. So then a lot of controversial.
So in summary, Hadisab, there are some different of opinion, but it has to go down to the mufti who's dealing with the case. Talaq has to be dealt, especially when it comes to become confusing. When you're not sure, please, and my recommendation is you go to a body of scholars, a body like Sharia Islamic Council of Europe in Islamic Mosque, or Sharia Council in Leighton, or so like that is good. Any other questions? Any other questions? Yes, brother.
What if they say it but they don't mean it? They just say that, okay, I give it talaq.
Don't do that. Prophet ﷺ said there are 3 things there's no joke. One is marriage. If you say to a girl, I marry you, and she says, I accept, it's done. Wallah, I'm being serious. If there is a mahar, say, friend, I marry with mahar of 2,000 pounds, there's 2 witnesses there. She says, oh, qabul. Khalas, marriage is done. Wallah, this is actually in the hadith. So there's no 3 things in which, as long as the conditions are fulfilled, nikah, there's no joke. Talaq, there's no joke. Oh, my wife, I love you so much, I divorce you. It's done. And also, when you free a slave, it's not applicable to us today, but back in the day, if someone was to say to a slave, out of joke, Abdullah, you're a free man. Khalas, pack your bag, it's gone. He's a free man. So there's no joking. So that's a good question you asked, because a lot of people don't know. Yes?
You said that if you get divorced, you still have to live in the same house, right?
Yeah. Until the iddah finishes. Not forever.
Can you still do the whole?
The what? The khul. What do you mean by the khul? As in like marital relation? Yeah. That's, if you do that, then the talaq is cancelled. Does that make sense? So if you, like we spoke about this last time, if you give your wife talaq, she's in a waiting period, then you can revoke that talaq. How do you revoke the talaq? You reverse it by saying we revoke the talaq, or by saying that I want to carry on with life as normal, or you touch each other with passion, or consummate the marriage. All of that cancels the talaq automatically. So you can, and it will make your marital life as normal, as long as it's within the iddah period. If the iddah period is finished, then what must you do? It depends what happens which way. But what must you do if you want to carry on with life with her?
She has to like marry another man, get divorced.
No, but that's if it's 3. What if it's 1 or 2? Give a new nikah, isn't it? If it's 1 or 2 talaqs, you have to give a new nikah, if it's after the iddah period. But if it's 3, then khalas, he has to go for the long route.
Does that mean then there was no talaq?
Yeah.
No, talaq, the one talaq in your account, you finished, you used it.
You said that's revoked.
You revoked it, but it's still in your history record.
One strike.
So one strike, gone. You got 2 strikes left. 2 strikes and you're done, you're finished. So remember that. Okay? Yes?
When you said when you give 3 talaqs and the iddah is finished, then she has to go marry another man.
Yeah.
Does she have to do with that?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's a very sad situation. Don't fall yourself in that situation. Allah protect us all. Yeah. Anything? Yes, brother. Yes, we'll talk about that in detail next week. But yes, khula means that it's in exchange of money, in exchange of some sort of monetary value, whether it's the mahar or more or less, whatever they agree upon. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So if it's they will only be staying in the same house if it's during the waiting period, isn't it? If it's the iddah. You know what the iddah is? Yeah, we spoke about. Were you here from the beginning? You're going to be late. So you have to go home and watch the whole full lecture, yeah? Because it doesn't mean after the divorce forever. It means, say for example, you give the divorce, someone gives the divorce, there's a 3-month waiting time. This 3 months waiting time, they have to spend together. In this 3 months waiting time, if they consummate the marriage, if they, resume marital life, then it's as if they're married again. But the strike is still in your history, but you are husband and wife again. But that's only possible after 1 and 2 talaq. After 3rd talaq, you can't do that. You can't do that. Yes, Ashiq.
Just like you, I came a bit late, so you may have asked this question. But let's say, for example, you said that you have to stay for 3 months, right? What if for like a specific reason you can't stay in the same house with your like for 3 months? Let's say they're abusive or something along those sorts. Then can you just leave without having to wait 3 months?
Yeah, if there's a need to travel for a legitimate reason, what I mean is you shouldn't be separated out of anger and animosity. You should be living together as you would be if you were married. This is of course in the iddah period after the 1 or 2 talaq, yeah? Now, even if you were to travel separate because of legitimate reasons, you could still revoke that talaq by saying, I want you back, or let's carry on, or let's meet up, let's figure this out when we are back, stuff like that. There is iddah, but you can't return her.
Yeah, iddah is because of maybe child having
No, but iddah for her. Iddah for her because if she wants to get married again. Or iddah for her maybe, but iddah is different depending on how, if she's pregnant, then her iddah is until the child is coming. But if she is not pregnant, then it's 3 months. As in 3 menstrual cycles. 3 hayd. 3 haydat. Could be.
because of the
Childbirth, yeah.
concept of child.
Yeah, because the delivery of the child, yes. Yeah, so iddah, this is a good point that Harisa brought up. Iddah is normally 3 months, isn't it? But if the wife is expecting, then her iddah could be longer than 3 months, but guess what, it could also be shorter. Huh? No. If she has a child, and maybe they were married like together for the first 8 months of the pregnancy, and the guy flopped it last minute and decides to give talaq in the last minute. So he gives her 3 talaqs, and 3 talaqs happen, and then she has baby like say 2 weeks later. Khalas, she's a free woman now. She can get married again if she wants to. It's a trick question. In what scenario can a woman get married 1 week after the talaq? It's a good question because it's basically if she's pregnant and then she delivers and then after that. Because the delivery is her iddah, finished. Alright? Khalas, no more questions? If that's the case, yes?
Says the husband gives talaq and the guys she would inherit. Would she have to wait? Let's say she was pregnant at the same time. Would she still inherit?
So whichever, look, if she was still in her iddah with him, whether it be because she's pregnant so it's 9 months, or whether it be because she's not pregnant so it's 3 months, if she is still married to him technically, such that it's within the iddah period, then she would inherit from him. Unless it was 3 talaqs. because that severs the relationship straight stop on the spot.
So after they have a child and doesn't see a child, he starts to look after that child.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. He still has full rights of expenditure and etc. And this is another point I'm probably going to talk about, inshallah, which is that whether you divorce or not, the child has full rights to mom and dad. Your divorce is your own problem. You guys didn't like each other, that's your own problem. But that doesn't mean that the child doesn't get a mom and dad. He has full rights to have access to, availability to, spend time with mom and dad, both. Yes. There's some rules around that. It depends on the age of the child. It depends on the age of the child. If the children are very young, under a particular age, I believe it's 7, yeah, then if she marries again, then the children will come to the dad. Yes. According to Islamic law, of course. Yeah. But if the children are older, of understanding they can look after themselves, then it's a separate issue. But generally speaking, children are attached to the Islamic law, Islamic courts, Islamic system. Children are more attached to the father, especially if they're a bit older. But if they're babies, they need nursing, they need mother care, etc., then they would naturally be with the mom, unless she decides to go marry again. Then she has, then the dad would have the responsibility of hiring a nurse for his children, breastfeeding and etc. stuff. It's a bit complicated, but it's a separate topic anyway. Yeah.
Let's say you're on your second strike and you go for the third.
Yeah.
And then after it passes, you find out that she's pregnant, and then you have like a change of heart. How would you go about it?
After the third strike is done, she has to get married again to another man, and then if he divorces her or if he dies, then he may carry on. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said that a man has to fulfill his rights in terms of expenditures for his child, right? So is child support a sin you don't pay as a man?
Absolutely. Major sin.
But how is the expenditures measured?
It's based upon cultural norms. If in today's culture, a child needs, say for example, I don't know, 150, 200 pound a week, whatever. I don't know how much, it depends. I've never been through the process. May Allah protect us all. But, whatever is the social norm of what a child is expected to spend, then you'd have to pay that. Yes?
Just continuing on, okay, she's a free woman, but what if you still have feelings for the child? You still have rights of the child?
Yes, child is yours. Absolutely, because I was saying the child, you may have a divorce, but the child is still child. Biological connection is irreversible. Yeah? Talaq may or may not be irreversible. May or not be irreversible, but biological connection is irreversible, full stop. So even if a husband and wife hate each other's guts, they don't want to see each other, they hate each other, they're divorced, that doesn't stop the child from still having access to both mom and dad. Does that make sense, yeah? Khalas, I think that's enough, because adhan is now due in 3 minutes. Jazakumullahu khairan. Any other questions? Last 1 minute? No? Subhanallah. Yes, go on.
For example, the child's 19 years old.
Not child anymore than in it. Yeah.
The guy's 19 years old. He's living with his mom. She got remarried. Does the child have rights to his biological dad?
No, because after he's an adult, he's finished. So he has to pay for himself.
The kid?
He's not a kid because he's 19 years old. He has to look after himself now. But he has, of course, every right to see his parents and spend time. Who says no?
What the kid says no, I don't want to see him.
That's up to him. But technically, we're talking about children that are small, that don't make their own decisions. No one should bar them. If the young man who's a man now, if he decides I don't want to see his dad, then that's his problem, that's his sin. Unless he's been abused or wronged and something scarred, he can't just say that, because keeping in touch with his dad is also his right and his duty, because maintaining ties of kinship is from the key requisites and key principles, key instructions of Islam. Huh? Respecting, valuing, maintaining ties of kinship. Subhanakallah wa shahadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah.